Okay, this series of tutorial is going to be based on Toon Boon 5, Toon Boon Studio 5. As you are aware, we've got two different versions of Toon Boon at university. One is called Toon Boon Pro 2, and this is called the version, the most popular version, the one that people start using from first year, is Toon Boon 5. Now, the very first thing when you open up Toon Boon, mind you, I have to mention this beforehand. When you go onto Toon Boon very first time on a different machine, this is machine to be machine based, and it should be fixed by now. Because of the changes to the way that Toon Boon releases its license, its network license, you may see it not booting up or asking for authentication or licensing. In which case, you need to get in touch with the technical. Technicians in the technical office in the DAC, and the person that you actually want is Ant, and he'll be able to come up and get it working on that particular machine. Once that's been done, then it should run smoothly for that machine for everybody else. But unfortunately, because of this changes both with the way that Macintoshes are running these days and the update in terms of the software and its sort of security, these measures have kind of stopped us being able to release the license right across the whole network. But once that's been done, the very first thing that you see is this page, which kind of asks you to set stuff up for yourself. You may have recent stuff that you already been working on, in which case it is likely to sort of present itself this way. You're even allowed to browse to a particular folder that you want to open. But if it's the first time that you're actually opening up Toon Boon and you want to have a sort of a new project, this is the way you go about it. You need to give it a name, in which case I'm just going to call this test for now. You need to decide on the format, and there are lots of different ones here. You notice there are for various different stuff, from web animation to stuff for handheld devices, to various different stuff, including DVPAL. Now, if you're not that familiar with DVPAL, DVPAL is actually PAL stands for the European Television Standard. That's what we have currently, and it's fast becoming outdated. Its ratio is fairly small. It was for the old TV sets. It was all for the old videos, cassette videos, and we no longer use those technologies. They kind of become a bit defunct. But it is a sort of a midway in terms of if you want to test stuff. PAL might not be too onerous on the machines that you're using. The version up from that is HDTV, high definition TV. It says 720, 24 frames per second. 720, as you know, or you may not know, is it's the halfway mark. So it's a full resolution for HDTV is 1824 frames per second, but it's halfway version of that, or halfway down that, is 720. 720 refers to the width of this, so going all the way down the side of your frame. 180 is the same, goes down the side. So that's how it works. And of course you've got 25 frame per second, which deals with TV. 24 for film, 25 for TV, and you've got the 2K at 3.4, 3 to a ratio of 4.3, which is this format, the squarish format. The new technology, the technology has even moved on now. We're looking at 4K, which is much more heavy, much more detailed stuff. But this is Toon Boon. It's all vector graphics. It shouldn't really matter. I'm just gonna hit PAL TV, which gives you the camera size for it, 7 768 by 576, which is that's the 768, and 576 is going down that way. And then with everything sorted out, with everything set, I can click on create to create it. Now, there are lots of different tutorials on here as well, which is also worthwhile you looking at it. There's also a forum there where if you've got any problems or issue, you can click on that and it takes you to Toon Boon's own forum where people are discussing different approaches, etc., etc. So anyway, I'm going to hit click. And we are into Toon Boon now. Just going to bring those tools in here a little bit so it can be seen. This is a normal setup that you would have for Toon Boon. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can actually see what's going on in here. The thing that we've got missing from the top bar is our menu. One of the nice things about Toon Boon is that you can actually chop and choose various different elements on there. For example, in terms of window, we can change the workspaces to drawing, which will give us a different set of tools. We can change the workspaces to scene planning. Again, that should shift things around to be completely different. Scene planning is often used for things like cinematography, where you want to place a camera, etc., etc., etc. Let me just go back. So going to Window, Workspaces, and I'm going to hit Default, which it should take us back to this, which is the more familiar interface that we have. Now, with that said, you've got your stage here, you've got your color palette in here, you've got library where you can actually put different various stuff and refer to it really quite quickly. You've got your pen sizes, text sizes, and various different cells that you may have. Right underneath there, you've got timeline, which is this thing, and it's layered up a little bit like Photoshop. You've got your exposure sheet. I'll be talking about a little bit more about that. And you've got your function editor, which allows you for changing the curves of your animation for you to be able to get a much closer sort of type of movement and pacing and spacing than you would normally have. So import information. One of the things I have to say about the exposure sheet or the dope sheet is that I don't like it there. You rarely can use it that well. I would much prefer it to be up here, and it's easy enough for me to actually drag it and place it right at the top there. Things like color palette and everything, I can reorganize that to be able to see a little bit of it, but really this is how you would normally work with your dope sheet, because you want to see a lot more information going down rather than going across. Right, going back to our timeline, as I explained, this is fairly standard in terms of what you see. It simply is your timeline with a little playhead, which allows you to scrub back and forth. You've got your drawing and you've got your camera layer. And you can add to this. You can even create a new camera, but let's not run ahead with ourselves at this stage. Okay, so very simply, this is the basics of it. Oh yeah, of course, you've got your play and replay tools up here. They're grayed out because you're not sort of have got anything on here for us to be able to play. We've got your light table. In other words, it actually shines light behind it for us to be able to see the previous layer. And we've got onion skinning here as well, which we could actually create to have so few more or few less, depending on what you want. Your tool set is pretty straightforward. You've got your drawing, you've got your select tool, you've got your paint bucket, you've got your eraser rubber, you've got your zoom in, and you've got your text. below here, these deals with a few more much more complex stuff. Well, in terms of Toon Boon, they're not really particularly complex, but what you're dealing with is sort of transformation, and again selecting various different elements, being able to rotate and move and scale stuff. Okay, one of the most important thing to bear in mind is that once you're working with multiple layers, it's always best to make sure that you've clicked on the camera view. This means that you're in effect looking through the camera, whereas this is looking at individual layers. If you've got two layers sitting on top of each other, two drawing layers, if you're in the drawing layer, you won't be able to see other layers. But once you click onto camera, you should be able to see them laid out correctly. The other ones are looking at different elevations. So this would be the side view, camera being right in the corner here, looking out towards the stage, and that line indicates where the stage is. The same thing happens from the top as well. So your camera would be down here something. This would be the view of the camera. This would be what you'd be seeing in the camera, and your stage, your main layer of stage is there. Of course, you can drag layers out this way to give it a bit more depth, and that will be perceived as depth as well. So useful information there. Okay, so what we'll do is I'm going to stop here, and your next lesson, your next bit is going to be looking at bringing in sort of drawings, or actually how to draw in Toon Boon and how to use drawing to make animations with.